Coming up in just a few minutes, though, we're going to be talking with Stefan Boylan. He's from the Pickleball Association of San Diego because there's a turf war, man. Yeah, you're going to get jumped in a gang if you want to play pickleball.
I don't understand why, but I'm so excited.
Yeah, I don't really know either, but yeah, I'm pumped for this.
They're different courts, aren't they? Pickleball courts are so much smaller.
So, yes, apparently you can put 4 pickleball courts on a tennis court.
Okay.
But that's where the problem lies, is the pickleballers want to turn tennis courts, at least like one of 2 courts that are out in public parks, into pickleball courts. And the tennis players are going, no way, pal. No way. Not happening. We will fight you.
This is like skier snowboarders.
Except it's not just angry words. I mean, they're like actually causing problems for pickleballers.
You ever seen the movie Green Street Hooligans?
It's
about the soccer gangs of the 90s in Europe.
And I remember the movie, but I never saw it.
It's with Frodo from Lord of the Rings and some other people.
Right.
Great movie. But I feel like that's what's going to start happening. Oh. The pickleball supporters are going to start, really messing up the tennis supporters, and they're going to start fighting in all the back streets of Ireland. It's going to be great.
I like that a lot. Meanwhile, here in San Diego, there's a turf war on a global stance somewhere, I believe. Tennis players and pickleball players are at each other's throats. And you know what? I don't know if what I'm getting on reports is that actually pickleball players not at the throats of tennis players, but vice versa. Tennis players really wanting to take down the pickleball players because they are unhappy with what's happening here on the courts. And we thought we got to get to the bottom of this. So we brought on Stefan Boylan. He's with the Pickleball Association of San Diego. Stefan, how are you this morning?
Very good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So now fill me in here. Okay, actually, let's back up just a tad. Here on Big Ridge TD and Fletch, we were talking about having a pickleball tournament some months back, but then we were worried we don't know if we have the athleticism for it. Do we have to be athletes in order to play pickleball?
I think out of all sports that I've ever played, you do not need incredible athletic prowess to play pickleball. Anyone could play it, all different sizes and shapes of people, all different ages, I've seen up to 94-year-olds play it. It does not take the kind of athleticism, for instance, that tennis does.
Okay, so before we kind of get to what's happening in San Diego now and what's really going to change the world, Stefan, how do you get to the point to where you are on the board for the Pickleball Association of San Diego?
Great question.
Myself and my partner, Mike Shinzaki, formed this nonprofit association called the Pickleball Association of San Diego when we realized that we needed an organization to compete for public space with other sports, in particular with tennis, because we both share the same kind of vision. We want cemented hardscape in public parks to put courts on. So we formed the company. No one else was doing it, so we kind of fell into the role and had been thinking about it for a while, and just really wanted to kind of get courts in San Diego. We have the nicest weather in the country. Why not have pickleball here?
Yeah, no doubt, Stefan. Now, pickleball is played on a tennis court, but it's just, a quarter of the court, right? You can put 4 pickleball courts on a tennis court.
That's correct. That is exactly correct.
Now, and then, so what's happening is the pickleball players, which apparently is now the fastest growing sport in the nation, are going, hey, look, man, we should be able to have pickleball courts at the same places tennis courts are at. But the tennis people are saying, no way, pal, get your pickleball out of here. And there's like a turf war happening.
Most tennis people and pickleball people get along, and the reason they get along is because about 70% of the people play both sports. So a lot of tennis people who play pickleball come to us and say, yeah, I wish we had a local place to play. I didn't have to drive outside of the city to Chula Vista or to Escondido or to Carlsbad just to play. So, yeah, it would be great if we had some courts here. About 4 or 5 years ago, Mike and I kind of looked into this, and we were looking for the most underutilized tennis facility in the city of San Diego, and we think we found it. That facility is not too happy with what we're saying. But over at Robb Field, there's 12 tennis courts over there, and on average, only 3 of them are being used. I think the last time I came on your show about 8 months ago, you guys were kind of amused that we had about 200 hours of aerial footage, consecutive hours of aerial footage showing that the courts are empty almost all the time. And we also had aerial footage of the 25 courts across the street that are also public courts called Barnes Tennis Center as well. So we felt there were plenty of tennis courts in the area to share. So we wanted to repurpose some of those tennis courts over at Robb Field to pickleball, and those people could still continue to play on the courts that were available. Since then, tennis has said, well, you're cherry picking, you're using only a select period of time. Although we were using 200 consecutive hours, it's hard to cherry pick when you're using, a couple of weeks worth of data. But quietly, and we didn't say this on your radio show last time, we were taking screenshots. Actually, members of the tennis club were taking screenshots of their court logs. So we now have almost a year's worth of data on the tennis club. We're not cherry picking anything. We're looking at the last year. And still, they're only using about 3 of the 12 courts. We have about 5,000 people on our newsletter list, and we think we would be able to accommodate about 3,000 people a week if they allowed us to repurpose just half of the courts. Again, we're asking the city if we could just repurpose. This is our new compromise that we just proposed in the last 2 months. If we repurpose half of the 12 tennis courts, we'd leave 6 for tennis. No tennis players would be hurt. They would still have plenty of courts to play on, and we could be accommodating about 3,000 players a week on those pickleball courts that we would repurpose.
Stefan Boylan, the Pickleball Association of San Diego. Now, Stefan, you said you have aerial footage. Please tell me you're using drone technology.
We're not using anything. People came to us with drone footage and said, "Hey, look, we'll help you document it. We'll get the footage, and you guys can go analyze it and come out with reports and take a look at it." And we did that, and we have about 200 hours of drone footage, basically, that we analyzed. But better than that is we have the Peninsula Tennis Club's court logs. We have them for the last year.
Right.
Every day we're taking screenshots at every evening. And it shows, what courts are booked, how many are booked, and we verify that actually with some video periodically. We audit, and so using their own records, they're only using 3 of 12 courts. So why can't we? We're saying this to the city. Why can't we repurpose 6 temporarily until courts are built for pickleball? Until our courts are ready. And the city is now discussing that. The mayor is discussing that with the parks director, and they're considering that. We expected to have a decision a couple of weeks ago, but they want more time. They said they want more public input. We did send in about 15,000 letters over the last year from all different people, emailing the mayor's office and the parks office that they want pickleball here locally and don't want to have to drive to Escondido, for instance, just to play on public courts.
Stefan, first of all, just congratulations, because you found something you're super passionate about. You're fighting for it. Take down those elitist snob tennis players. I'm all with you. I'm behind the movement. But if you watch ESPN or ESPNU, stuff like that, they will have pickleball tournaments going on. Is your goal to maybe get some of that going on in San Diego, professional pickleball here?
Our number one goal, and I've repeated this to so many people so many times, is to satisfy the local park goers, the people that pay taxes here in San Diego that get to use that should be getting to use their public parks for things that they want to do. So that's our number one concern. We did have some dreams possibly of having a national tournament once a year, closing the courts for a week or two and having the best players in the world as well as everyone else come play a big gigantic tournaments, and it could be great for tourism for San Diego. Every other city, mostly in the country, but even the surrounding cities, Chula Vista, Carlsbad, Escondido, they all have repurposed some tennis courts into pickleball courts. They've kind of seen the trend in America, and but our city hasn't yet done that. And we're hoping that they take this seriously and do this. Building a public facility takes between 5 and 10 years, and the city is looking at that, and we're on a board to help that come about. But that doesn't happen overnight. Laying 100,000 square feet of cement, there are environmental issues, there are park issues, there's everyone kind of fighting for turf, the softball, the soccer, baseball, bigger sports than our sport and tennis even. So that is a great long-term plan, but we needed something 5 years ago. So if the city approves our plan, within 5 weeks, we could have we could repurpose some tennis courts to pickleball, and people could be playing literally 5 weeks later.
Stefan, I literally have been reading reports throughout the country about some turf wars happening between tennis players and pickleball players. And there's reports of tires being slashed or cars being egged. Are we seeing any of that here in San Diego?
No, thank God we're not. There is some incendiary rhetoric and some rhetoric that I would say, the tennis people, as soon as we came out with our proposal, said that we were creating a false narrative, that we were lying to the public, that we were cherry-picking data. And we're former tennis players. I played in the USTA for many years and played tournaments. I love tennis, and I watch tennis quite a bit. The Australian Open was less than a month ago, and I watched several days worth of coverage, and it was great. And I even know some professional tennis players. I love tennis. I would never do anything to stop tennis courts from being used when they're being used. What I do have a problem with, though, is when there's empty tennis courts and they're not being well utilized. It's time to look and see, hey, can we share better? Are there enough courts, around to satisfy the tennis players? And there are. And I feel like, most of the tennis players, I think, agree with us, but there are a handful of very vocal advocates. Some of them work for this particular tennis club, and I get it. They're defending their turf. They're defending, their livelihood. They work at that club. They want those courts. As a couple of them have told me in the past, we like the courts to be open and free so we can use them whenever we want. So it's just, we need the city to step in, to step up, and to look at the facts and the data, and not play favorites, not play who was here first, but figure out how can we satisfy a greater proportion of the population.
Well, Stefan, if you would like us to maybe just drop locations, addresses of stuff, the tires that need to be slashed, and Travis will take care of it all.
No, please,
Yeah.
no violence. There hasn't been any. There's been some words exchanged. I actually get along very well with the head of the Peninsula Tennis Club over there in Robb Field. We disagree with each other on virtually everything. He says that utilization is not important. It's not in their special use permit. Why should they have to worry about utilization? And I say, well, it's common sense. If you're not using the courts, either let us use them or let the city step in and kind of apportion the courts as needed. But that hasn't happened yet. And we really need to kind of push our city into thinking about this, not into, who has the money and who has the status and who has done things for the city. Tennis has done some great things for the city of San Diego, but it doesn't mean they should have every single tennis court in the city. And right now they have 550 tennis courts, and all we're asking for is 6 of the 12 courts at Robb Field to repurpose into pickleball courts. And if we do that, we can satisfy 3,000 or 4,000 people a week.
Pickleballsd.org. That's where you go if you want more information on this, or if maybe you want to join in the fight here to get some pickleball courts put together out here in San Diego. Stefan Boyland, the Pickleball Association of San Diego. Appreciate the time this morning. Appreciate you waking up with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Anytime you want me on the show, I'd be happy to talk.
Love it. Love it. There it goes, Stefan Boylan. Look, this is going to be a heated process here. That's all I'm saying. So I know that right now we haven't heard anything. We're going to keep our fingers crossed. But I'm telling you, these tennis guys are going to get nuts. Also, cricket, by the way. I noticed cricket's making a big growth in San Diego, which they're already saying they're the fastest growing sport. I don't know what's going to happen, man.
Crickets? Like chirp chirps?
No, like cricket, like from, I think it's British, I think
it's super popular in India. In fact, there are some websites that'll say cricket's the most popular sport in the world.
Correct. Yeah, that's what we're seeing all over here.
But the pickleball thing, did you feel like he was winking when he told me not to slash tires?
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he wanted well, wait,
I've never done it before.
You offered me up to slash tires.
I don't want to do it. That's a felony.
Yeah, definitely. No, Stefan Boylan, good dude, and is just trying to put together some fun things for San Diegans to do, because pickleball is huge.
I am thinking, I'm seeing a class warfare starting, right? The picture Disney movies where it used to be get off the mountain, snowboarders,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
This is a ski mountain only.
So you think tennis players are just going to go post up on every tennis court?
Dude, they're elitists.
Wow.
I'm a man of the people.
I got you on that. Where was it? Who was it here? It was the president of the board of directors for the San Diego District Tennis Association, John Broderick, says that tennis has grown 27% since COVID. So he's saying you can't even touch these courts, man, because it's growing so rapidly. Everybody's got the fastest growing sport right now. Pickleball, I feel like we could get into.
Any sport that you can drink while play.
Yes.
We're there.
Yes. And I meant to ask Stefan if my athleticism is peaking at bowling.
Dude, you're fine.
I could do pickleball.
You are so fine with I don't even think you have to move.
Yeah, I think you got to move around.
No, I think you can pretty much plant your feet and just reach everything, especially if you're playing duos.
It's like tennis/badminton.
I think it's more like tennis/ping pong. Except it's ping pong without a table.
Giant ping pong.
Yeah, on the ground. But it's not even giant. Like, think about a quarter of a tennis court.
I wonder if you have to serve like ping pong where you have to like bat it on the table first. You think? We should get a ping pong table in here.
Maybe a pickleball court.
Just put a pickleball court in the newsroom. If we can move all of the cubicles out, we could probably fit a pickleball court in there.
I think so.
Indoor pickleball, and we'd be doing the city a favor as well because we'd be satisfying several thousand people here in San Diego to play pickleball in our newsroom. Yeah, I don't know.
My office is big enough.
Sure. Yeah, let's do that.
Arena pickleball.
Yeah, no doubt. It is Monday, which means we do have to get to a Monday morning mouthful. That's the take that we just can't keep in. The take we got to get out. And it's no Rich today, so it's just Ben and myself, TD, on a Monday morning mouthful coming up next.